Want to start an uncomfortable conversation? How's this for an icebreaker? Black women should not be held hostage to the failings of black men. They should marry outside of their race. This according to Stanford law professor Ralph Richard Banks. Black women should not marry down. They should marry out. This comes from a new book he has authored called Is Marriage for White People? And Professor Banks joins us on The Filter. Rick, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
The premise at the beginning, why black women are so unlikely to marry. Why is that?
Well, black women are unlikely to marry in part because black men are faring so poorly. As we speak, 1 in 10 black men in their 20s or early 30s are in prison across the country. 1 in 4 will go to prison. At the other end of the spectrum, nearly twice as many black women as men graduate from college. This leaves black women with very few partners.
So basically, you're pointing out that black women face the thinnest pool of same-race partners in the country. But I'm sure there would be a number of black men that would argue that point.
Well, a number of black men have argued that point. And in fact, one of the things I wanted to do with my book is to try to get to the bottom of this. And again, based on national data, the best available information, it simply is the case that black women are outpacing black men along a number of dimensions, educationally, professionally. Lots of black men are quite simply not able to be the type of partners that women want.
Are you saying the only way for a black woman to get married is to marry someone who is not black?
Well, that's not the only way. I am saying that if more black women married across racial lines, that would be good for them because more women would have stable and enduring relationships. They'd have better relationships, in fact, than they might have with the black men who are available. And they would also benefit the black race because more African-American couples would likely wed as well.
Are you suggesting that black men can never overcome the obstacles which you have pointed out?
Well, I'm saying many black men do. So there are lots of black men who are doing just fine. But it's also the case, and this is a national tragedy, I think, that black men are in many ways the most disadvantaged group of people in our society. In terms of incarceration, in terms of unemployment, in terms of marginality along all sorts of dimensions, black men in the aggregate are not faring well. And that's something that the book tries to come to terms with.
Now, stay with me here for a second, Rick. Would it be safe to say that if I came up with this conclusion, I'd be considered racist? I'm white. Would I be considered racist?
And you probably would be, and I think that's unfortunate. Frankly, I do. I think that's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate that people assume I'm white or they give my conclusions even more weight because I'm African American or because my wife is African American. I think all of those things should not matter.
Has anyone suggested that you are racist?
Well, people have suggested that I am promoting genocide or that I am supporting the annihilation of the black race. In fact, until yesterday, every single radio interview that I'd given was met with at least one caller making such an assertion. So that is an indicator, I think, of how severe are the social pressures on black women to remain within the race, even as everyone else, including black men, increasingly look outside of their race for marital partners.
You mentioned you're married. You mentioned your wife is African American. If she had taken your advice, she might not have married you.
Well, if she had taken my advice, then she would have been open to men of all races. And that might, in fact, prompt me to be a better husband if I know I'm competing against everyone out there rather than simply competing against a limited market.
The name of the book is Marriage for White People. Professor Banks, thanks very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
And we want to know what you think about the professor's new book. Go to NBC Filter on Facebook or Twitter, or share your thoughts in an email. We'll air them later in the show. The professor's book has caused a great deal of conversation. Joining us from the Los Angeles Urban League is Strudwick-Turner, and the creator and executive producer of the T.O. show, Keita Williams. Keita, I'm going to start with you. You're single, correct?
Absolutely.
Is the professor right in his assumption?
Well, I ride the fence on that. I would say this. I'm an established, African-American woman. I'm not married. So there has been a lot of struggle being in the realm that I am. I think the higher up you climb, there are a lot of professional women like myself. A lot of my friends aren't married, professional. There's nothing wrong. They have good credit. Everything's great.
Are they not married because they can't find someone who's African American to marry?
I think they're not married because it's difficult. We have a lot more competition, if you will, that has kind of made us feel as if we have to, as he said, step outside of the box is not our option that I'm looking for. You kind of date down, which is nothing wrong with dating a man who may not be on the same financial status as you. I just think a lot of African-American women would prefer to marry a man that resembles them. I personally would.
All right, Chris, you're married to an African-American man.
I am married to an African-American man. I've been married for 31 years.
All right, do you think you made a mistake? Because according to the professor, you did.
No, I don't think I made a mistake. Okay, from my perspective right now, you marry out of love. That's what you marry for. It's not about economic status, and it's not about, ultimately those are things you have to think about, but you marry for love. I mean, marriage is hard, and sustained marriage is hard. So if you don't start from a base of love, you're in trouble, whether you're black, blue, purple, or whatever.
When you got married, did you think there's no way I can marry an African-American man because that's not going to work for me. That's not going to be enough for me. If I make that decision, according to the professor, you're marrying down.
I understand. And that's the stretch for me. I'm an intelligent woman. That's what he says. I'm an intelligent woman. I've got multiple degrees. I'm financially stable. I can make a choice about a relationship. If I decide I want to marry down, which I hated that, marry down, it's a choice that you make. If I'm making $150,000 and I fall in love with a man that's making $35,000, we think about that ahead of time and we do it.
But Keita, would you do that? Would you make $150,000 and marry a man who's making $35,000?
It depends on if he has, and I say this to say, it depends on what his true potential is. I think money, to me, comes and goes. I think the standards that we've got to look at is the quality of the man. There are a lot of women that I know who are out there doing very well, and with the economy, some of us have made 150 and had to take cuts. We're making 75. As she said, I went to a predominantly Caucasian school. I went to the University of Kentucky, so my dating pool was very limited. We had a lot of athletes that looked like me, that had the same upbringing, but a lot of them were dating women that didn't look like me. So for me, my pretty felt as if it wasn't pretty enough.
Marrying outside your race is not a formula for success in a marriage. I mean, my friends who are combos, which I call them combos, they have the same issues that we have black on black. I mean, their joys, their happiness, their challenges, their whatever, it's absolutely the same. And with the economy, the economy can wreak havoc on a marriage. Whether you start, with a disparity or whether you start equal and then something happens. I mean, bad money problems can kill a marriage.
But I think it's this too. I'm sorry. I think it's this too. I'm at the prime of my life. You want to get married, you want to have a baby, you want to live happily ever after. You want to have that combo, as you said, whether it's black on black. The problem I have is when you exclude. My problem is this. If you're going to love and love is going to be colorblind, don't exclude what looks like you. If you feel like you're falling in love with someone who's black and blue and one eyeball, that's fine with me. But I'm not going to just try something new because you tell me that my black man's not enough.
But I also want to say that, the professor said that, if you marry outside your race, black women have a better chance of having a stable, enduring relationship and a better marriage. I don't know where that's coming from. Whether you married in your race, outside your race,
problems come in all shapes.
Come in all shapes. Goodness comes in all shapes and sizes and colors and whatever.
That's right.
So that leap that he took with that, I'm not quite sure where that came from. I'll give him credit. We are talking about it.
Yep.
The book is selling, and that's excellent. And it's a good conversation to have. But that is a real stretch.
Ladies, time is very short, so I'll ask you each.
Yes.
Give me like 10, 15 seconds, and then we got to go. If I had made the assertions the professor did, people would consider me racist.
Absolutely.
They absolutely would. That being said, is the professor racist?
No, I don't think so. And I'm not sure in this day and time that you would have been thought of as racist. You might have been thought of, oh no, here goes another, outlandish idea about, black folks. I'm not sure because he did the research. This book took 10 years to write. He's a smart man. He's Stanford. He's Harvard. If you had the same credentials, I'm not sure it would be, they would say it was racist. Definitely ill-advised, but that's what I'm saying about him. Ill-advised.
Keita?
I honestly think if you had written the book, you would have had a lot of backlash, but it would have been great PR for your book. It would have been. I think the title of his book is what got our attention. If this was called Black Love and why a lot of our African-American women aren't in the marriage game, we wouldn't be talking about it. The title of the book brings a lot of people to the conversation that we're having now.
I'll thank both of you. Chris, Keita, thank you for being here. Truly appreciate it.